Well, that's super duper, Lisa. In fact, we already have 4 girls on the team.
You do?
Uh-huh. But we'd love to have you on board.
I've gotta go.
Who could have foreseeneth this? Who could have possibly predicted that marketing your movie as a strong statement on misogyny would possibly have backfired?
It's not about money. It's about sending a message.
Now, the box office numbers are in for the weekend, and it looks entirely likely that Birds of Prey will lose money. To me, that's shocking. I think there are a lot of multipliers for why this movie failed outside of its initial marketing. Now, if we look at just some of how media is presenting this movie, it has to be people are going to start putting clauses in actors' contracts to say, you know, don't talk about how woke our movie is, please. Because look, I have now seen Birds of Prey. May or may not have yarg me mateed to see it. Obviously, I disavow. The movie is okay. I don't think it's bad. I don't think that... I don't even think that it was like super overly woke. And I do understand why some people might like the film.
I didn't expect to, just because of how bad Suicide Squad is, but I was pleasantly surprised, and great decision to bring in the John Wick team.
You know, it currently continues to drop on Rotten Tomatoes. As of Sunday at noon, it's at an 80%, which is still respectable in terms of 262 critics, and it's at an 83% audience score. If you look at, for example, just top critics, it does drop down to a 68. And then if we look at all audience, it is at 76. So still, these are not horrible numbers. And we can look at the movie Venom. Venom made a ton of money, even though the critics didn't really like it.
So you will be this armless, legless, faceless thing, won't you?
What the hell are you?
We are Venom.
So, you know, critics' score doesn't really indicate how much money is going to be brought in by film. And it's always more complex than, of course, we'd like to, you know, as internet pundits would like to put it. But just looking at a couple of the articles, right? It all started for me with this article on ABC where Ewan McGregor says Birds of Prey delivers powerful message on misogyny. Yes, husband of the year, Ewan McGregor. This was out in early February, and I think the quote's actually earlier than that. But the quote leaked, and I just think a lot of people are like, all right, I'm out. Like, that's it. You're going to talk about my superhero movie making political statements? I'm out. And again, I don't think that this movie was like man-hating. You know, yeah, it's not for me, but I still think that Ewan McGregor wanted the headlines here, and you go back to this quote that dropped, you wonder how much money this really cost them.
I mean, you committed to a really bad business model on national TV. I guess I just wanted to know, what the hell were you thinking?
And you can even look at an article from late January that says, Harley Quinn doesn't need you, men, when she's got the girls and the gays. Well, we'll see about that. This whole video is going to be a fun little build-up to see how this marketing worked out for them. Now, does a studio choose how people cover their film? No, probably not. Certainly, though, they could counter this narrative. You know, you could have your actors come out and say, no, of course not. This is just a fun movie, blah, 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 blah. You know, but they don't say that. You know, they don't. So they choose to let this narrative continue on. We could see The Hollywood Reporter, February 8th, just yesterday. How Birds of Prey deconstructs the male gaze. Again, not what anyone actually wants to read about a superhero movie. How about Polygon covering, are Black Mask and Mr. Zsasz gay? What is queer coding in a movie with multiple confirmed queer characters? Okay, hope this plan works out for you. You know, the thing is, when everybody's talking about who fictional characters in a movie are sleeping with, They're not talking about how funny the movie is, are they? They're not talking about the action scenes in the movie, are they? And we can see the Twitter critics. You got this Kalu Pettis guy, who's an actor, director, writer, film critic on Rotten Tomatoes, and among other things, a certified blue check mark. Starting off by saying, the women in Birds of Prey aren't spicy enough. Quote, female-directed movies are bad. Get out of here with all that misogyny. Again, who's saying this?
Who keeps saying that?
It was him. Let's get him, fellas.
It's just the classic straw man. The same critic then just days later tweets out, the fact that Birds of Prey is underperforming massively at the box office honestly crushes me. Oh, little Kalu. People always complain that they want more original and exciting comic book movies, yet when we get them, nobody goes to see them. What? Bruh. The Joker made $1 billion. Are you even right now? Are you even with that garbage take? This is who's rating movies. That's why movie reviews are worthless. They're fun to talk about, but ultimately, I don't take them as any bit of seriousness. He then goes on to say, this is one of the best comic book movies ever made. Go see it, please. Begging. Then you got people like Anna Bunana. So many men complaining Birds of Prey was boring, like, go watch The Avengers and cry about something else. You're not the target audience. Okay, well, we'll see how all of this works out. I think you might be catching on to perhaps a great, I might have a saying that I say once in a while, but let's continue down this rabbit hole. Sophia Narwitz catalogs perfectly. Read the first image. These types of, quote, critics are not even being subtle about it. And this is Kalu Pettis saying on February 8th, fellow film critics and journalists, how do you go about getting your review quotes used in promotional material? Any help would be greatly appreciated. Like my new header, puts the Birds of Prey thing on it. Oh my God, the Birds of Prey Instagram account is showing me some love. I mean, you know, the idea is here very clearly that they're just shills. They're not even trying. All they care about is McClout.
And cut.
And then look, at this point in the video, I'm going to talk about things that I believe really hurt the film. All right. One, why wasn't there a Super Bowl ad? I mean, right? Two, I think the name, maybe, it's just my theory, that they should have called it Harley Quinn, because nobody knows what Birds of Prey is, who didn't want to see this rendition of it anyway, from what the numbers show. Outside of the actual comic book fans, should not have called it Birds of Prey. I think that was a mistake. Everyone knows who Harley Quinn is. Nobody knows who Birds of Prey is.
Who?
Then the action scenes were actually pretty decent, but the marketing, not just missing out on the Super Bowl ad, but the trailers weren't very good. The trailers to me didn't display a lot of comedy. I mean, I guess maybe they just didn't land with me. I understand not every film, not every joke is for everyone. So maybe it just wasn't made for me. But many of the people that I also trust in terms of film reviews talked about how the film kind of looked low budget, like it was the CW Arrowverse type of thing. Now the film had $100 million budget, lop on another $100 million in marketing, and that's the best they could come up with. When we look at Forbes, Eric Kane, who usually writes pretty good stuff, fans and critics appear to agree on this one. Birds of Prey is quite good. It continues the trend of high-quality DCEU films. This is you wrote this article in the wake of, this is the worst opening film for DC since Jonah Hex. Currently, Birds of Prey is rocking a respectable 82% on Rotten Tomatoes. That places it behind Wonder Woman, Shazam, but ahead of Aquaman, and pretty much everything else in DCEU. My colleague, Scott Mendelson, reports that Birds of Prey only made $4 million Thursday and a measly $13 million on Friday. Read both those links for some context for these numbers, what that might mean for the $82 million production. Basically, it's underperforming Warner Brothers' forecast and doing worse than most people expected given the solid reviews. It's not doing worse than I expected. This is exactly what I expected because we've seen this play out before. How'd it work for Charlie's Angels? How'd it work for Waminator Woke Fate? T-1000 edition. How did it work? I mean, how many times must we teach you this, old man? He goes on to say, I doubt this has much to do with being a girl power superhero flick. Some of it has to do with no really big DC names. Harley Quinn is pretty big, but she's no Joker, Batman, or Superman. Mostly, however, I think it's because the film is R-rated. And so families aren't going, and parents aren't waiting to see it later in theaters or at home. Or parents are waiting or seeing it at home. This is a huge mistake on Warner Brothers' part. There's simply no reason for Birds of Prey to be rated R. The Squad was PG-13. Birds of Prey, while not exactly a sequel, should have stuck with PG-13 as well. The movie is definitely R-rated. It's not just violence. Harley Quinn parties hard. There's booze and drugs. There's one scene, the thwarted, other stuff. I disagree that the R rating is bad for Birds of Prey because didn't hurt Joker, didn't hurt Deadpool. So I don't believe that. Now, internet troll Scott Mendelson actually put together a decent list here. I mean, Mendelson knows what he's doing. He does understand the film industry, but he has 8 reasons Birds of Prey failed to take flight. And I actually agree with a lot of these. One, he says, should they have waited a week? There was nothing objectively wrong with Warner Brothers releasing Birds of Prey on the same weekend where they found success with Lego Movie in 2014 and Lego in 2017. Alas, the Academy Awards are tonight, 3 weeks earlier than usual, which meant a distraction for the press and moviegoers. President's Day weekend has been a safe home to unconventional comic book movies since Daredevil followed Ghost Rider, Kingsman in 2015, Deadpool in 2016, Black Panther in 2018, Alita Battle Angel in 2019. Warner Brothers was hoping Birds of Prey would open well and then get the holiday weekend to buffer any post-debut drops. But it also positioned the film to like a family-friendly attraction. Fine. He goes on to say it, and I agree. Warner Brothers should have titled it Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. 100% agree with that. 100% agree. 3, it was a loose sequel to The Squad without Batman, Joker, or Will Smith. Agreed. 1 marquee character, no marquee movie stars. The Squad had a combo of movie stars Will Smith, Ben Affleck, etc. And marquee characters like Harley Quinn, Batman, and Joker. Birds of Prey had a singular marquee character, Harley Quinn, whose popularity may have been overvalued, at least among adults. Talent notwithstanding, Margot Robbie and Ewan McGregor, who played Black Mask, are not openers, nor is the rest of the game cast. Journey Smollett, Belle, Rosie Perez, Elizabeth Winstead. Nor are featured DC characters Huntress, Black Canary, Cassandra Cain, and anybody else. Marquee draws a kin. Offhand, Venom, Deadpool, and Joker R-rating cost to film the casually curious, or I like DC Marvel movies, general moviegoers, because they were kids and it couldn't bring, they were worried about the R rating. Yeah, that's fair. So the R rating might thwart some normies.
You're a bunch of fucking normal fags.
Bad Boys for Life stole its thunder, sure. Here's a great point by Mendelson. 5, online excitement doesn't equal mainstream interest. The relative on performance, what this really translates to, I know you've been waiting, get woke, go broke. That's what this really translates to. If Twidiots are talking about how amazing a movie is, blah, 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 it doesn't mean they're going to see it. These are the same people that fake boycott stuff that they can't afford anyway. The R rating left kids and parents with kids out in the cold, and the R rating made it less unique in the marketplace. Maybe. You have 81 million worldwide in on the film right now, including an underwhelming 48 million overseas. However, it might get legs like 50 Shades and blah, 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 blah. It might be okay. Yes, that's hopefully unduly pessimistic, but Warner Brothers has hope to at least pass the $250 to $260 million totals Men in Black International, Dark Phoenix, and Terminator Dark Fate. Good luck. Those, by the way, are all widely considered box office failures. All right, so I take no joy in Birds of Prey failing, but I take a lot of joy in these idiots that think they could just do it without men. And forget you dudes, we're going to talk about misogyny. Because, as Deadline reports, Birds of Prey went astray with a pathetic, by the way, $33 million opening. The 4th update, Sunday AM with final chart. In the wake of hitting highs with Wonder Woman, Aquaman, the highest-grossing R-rated movie of all time, an 11-time Oscar-nominated billion-dollar grossing film Joker, Warner Brothers DC hit a pothole with the Squad spinoff, Birds of Prey opening well below projections with 33.2 million stateside and 81.2 worldwide. This wasn't the lowest grossing DC opening of all time for Warner Brothers. In recent box office history, that belongs to Josh Brolin's 2010 Western, Jonah Hex. The domestic opening is well under the 50 to 55 million tracking projections and under the 45 million, which Warner Brothers was hoping for. Not just a little, by the way, 25% lower. All right. The forecast was at least 110 million overseas. And even though the town loves to use the term tracking as the dog ate my homework, excuse whenever a film collapses at the box office, they're not ones to blame here. Birds of Prey, despite Birds of Prey in its final days before opening, notching an 81 certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes as cinema score of a B+, which typically works for picks on the big screen. It wasn't doing any favors this weekend. Rivals believe the exits are all right, just not the kinds that take over the top box office. Ultimately, I know there are a lot of people mad. My video covering this on Saturday has 500 dislikes. That's a lot for me. Now, I don't think it's from my viewers. I think like people online got butthurt that I was pointing out, that get woke, go broke is real and they just can't accept reality. But, I still like Margot Robbie. I still want DC to make good films. Obviously, this film's failure is more complex than just the wokeness, but I can guarantee you there are several people who just stayed away after seeing headlines that Ewan McGregor and other actors and actresses in this movie put out on purpose. Enjoy your failure, Hollywood. We'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.